Listen, I'm going to say something that will make half the internet lose their mind, but someone has to say it. You know what I see when I look around me? Men, successful men, handsome men, intelligent men, sitting alone for years. Not months, years. And before you start typing your angry comment, let me ask you one question. When was the last time you saw a couple under 35 who were truly happy? Not the Instagram version of happiness, but genuinely, deeply happy. You cannot remember, can you? And there is a reason for that, a reason most people are too afraid to say out loud. We have created a world where being alone has become the rational choice for most men. Not the desired choice, the rational one. The math simply does not work anymore. Imagine you are in a casino and there is this special table. To sit down, you must bet all your savings, your emotional stability, half your future income, and your mental health. The dealer tells you 70% of players lose everything, and of those who win, half say the prize was not worth it. Would you sit at that table? Of course not. But that is exactly what modern relationships have become for men. And then everyone wonders why they choose to stay home. I had this conversation with my cousin last week. He is 34, earns good money, works out, dresses well, the full package. He tells me he has not had a date in 3 years. I ask him why, and you know what he says. Every time I open these apps, I feel like I am applying for a job for which I am not qualified. Position of CEO, minimum height 6'2", salary in the top 5%, must own property in 3 countries, speak 4 languages, have the humor of a comedian, the body of an athlete, and the emotional availability of a therapist. Prior experience as a telepath is a plus. And here is what nobody wants to admit: women have priced themselves out of the market. It is like watching someone list their 1995 Honda Civic at Ferrari prices because they installed new seat covers. They confused their value with their demands, and when nobody buys, they blame the customers for being cheap, instead of asking themselves what they actually bring to the table. If what you are hearing right now is landing somewhere real inside you, subscribe to this channel now and activate the bell so you never miss a video, because every episode on this channel is built to tell you the truths that nobody else has the courage to say out loud. I remember at 22 meeting this girl in a coffee shop. She worked in sales, lived with 3 roommates, had maybe $200 in her account. But her dating requirements: the man had to own his home, drive a luxury car, take regular vacations abroad, and have enough free time to entertain her constantly. I asked her what she brought to match all of that. She looked at me like I had asked her to solve a quantum physics equation. "I am the trophy," she said. The trophy for what? For participating. And that was not an isolated incident. It is the mentality I see everywhere now. Women who cannot cook demanding personal chefs. Women who never exercise demanding athletes. Women drowning in debt, demanding millionaires. You know what happens when you set up a game where only one side can win. People stop playing. It is that simple. Men are not stupid. We know how to do a cost-benefit analysis. We see our friends divorcing, losing their children, paying alimony to women who despise them. We see good men mocked online for not being enough. We see the videos, the ones where women brag about using men for free dinners. They even have a name for it. They call it food sessions. They have WhatsApp groups where they share strategies for extracting maximum resources with minimum investment. And then those same women wonder where all the good men went. They went home. They are building their careers, spending time with friends. Somewhere effort still equals reward. But the real poison is not just the unrealistic standards. It is the complete devaluation of what men actually offer. A man today can work 60 hours a week, pay every bill, fix everything that breaks, be emotional support, remember every anniversary, plan romantic dates. And what does he hear in return? That is the bare minimum. My grandfather provided for a family of 5 on a single salary, and my grandmother treated him like a king for it. She ironed his shirts with pride, cooked his favorite meals, respected his decisions. Now you need to be a millionaire to get a thank you. And even then it comes with conditions. Open any social media and search men are trash. Count the millions of posts. Now search women are trash. See the difference. One gets celebrated with likes and shares and comments saying yes queen. The other gets banned, deleted, labeled misogynistic. We have normalized total disrespect toward an entire gender and then wonder why that gender opts out. I coached this guy recently, 28 years old, software developer, shy but genuine, earning $80,000 a year. He tells me about his last date. He picked her up, paid for dinner at a restaurant she had chosen, tried to have a real conversation. She spent the entire time on her phone posting stories, tagging the restaurant, never once acknowledging his existence. At the end, she said it was boring and left without saying thank you. He spent $150 to be someone's content creation assistant. The next day, that same girl posted on Instagram that men do not know how to be romantic anymore. Where have all the romantics gone? The cognitive dissonance is extraordinary. She brought nothing, showed zero interest, turned the date into a content shoot, then blamed him for it being boring. That is what we are dealing with. A woman living with 5 roommates, eating instant noodles for dinner, will reject a man because he does not own property. In major cities, maybe 5% of men under 35 own property, so 95% are automatically disqualified, and then women complain they cannot find anyone. I knew this girl, let us call her Anna. For 5 years, she rejected every man who approached her. Not tall enough, not rich enough, not exciting enough. She had an actual spreadsheet, a real Excel spreadsheet with requirements. Minimum height 6 foot, minimum salary $100,000, traveled to at least 10 countries, university degree, car worth at least $40,000. She was a receptionist earning $30,000 a year. Now she is 35, panicking, lowering her standards by the day, like a store clearing out its inventory. But the men she wants are dating 25-year-olds who did not spend a decade treating men as disposable objects. Time is undefeated. And let us talk about the independent woman narrative that was sold to everyone. The most genuinely independent women I know do not scream it from the rooftops. They do not need to announce it every 5 minutes. But these women working entry-level jobs, living paycheck to paycheck, borrowing money for weekend parties, those are the ones shouting they do not need a man. It is like someone who cannot afford a car saying they prefer to walk. We all know it is just to cope. The biological clock is real whether you admit it or not. Women at 22 say, I need nobody. I am focused on myself. Men are distractions. Women at 28 say, I am ready for something serious, but only if he checks all 47 points on my list. Women at 33 say, where have all the good men gone? Why is everyone taken? Women at 38 say, I will date anyone who has a pulse, responds to texts, and does not live with his mother. It is a predictable pattern, like watching the same film over and over. The tragedy is they could have had a good man at 25, but they were too busy finding themselves, which usually meant getting drunk every weekend and calling it self-care. But men have understood this pattern. Why would a successful 35-year-old man date a woman his age with baggage, a difficult personality, declining fertility, when he can date a 25-year-old who is genuinely happy to be with him? That is not misogyny, that is market dynamics. You can hate it all you want. Reality does not care about your feelings. Shaming tactics have also had a spectacular backfire. Call a man an incel because he has standards. He shrugs and goes back to his hobbies. Tell him he is not a real man because he does not want a relationship. He laughs and counts the money he is saving. Shame no longer works because men have realized being alone is not the worst scenario. Being with someone who sees you as a walking ATM machine is. Being with someone who constantly compares you to men she follows on Instagram is. I remember a moment about 5 years ago that completely changed my perspective. I was at a wedding, a grand ceremony that probably cost $100,000, and the groom's face during the ceremony. It was not joy, it was resignation, like a prisoner of war signing a confession. His wife spent the entire reception complaining. The flowers were not the right shade of pink. The cake was too sweet. The DJ played the wrong version of their song. Not once did she look at him with love. Not once did she thank him. 6 months later, divorced, she kept the ring, the gifts, the honeymoon photos for Instagram. He kept the debt and the depression. And you wonder why men fear commitment. We do not fear commitment. We fear committing to the wrong person who will destroy our lives and walk away with all the trophies. Here is what women do not understand about male solitude. It is no longer painful for most men, because we are problem solvers by nature. Lonely, get a dog, infinitely more loyal than most modern relationships. Need emotional support. Male friendships are stronger than ever because we realized we cannot count on women for that anymore. Need purpose. Build a career. Pursue a passion. Create something that will not leave you for your best friend. Men have adapted to solitude the way humans adapted to cold climates. We built tools and we moved on. We turned solitude from a bug into a feature. Meanwhile, I see women in their 30s and 40s having complete breakdowns because they are alone. Posting why memes as if alcoholism is a personality. Cat photos with captions about being a cat mom. Self-love quotes that fool nobody, including themselves. They believe the lie that they could have it all whenever they wanted it. Nobody told them men would simply stop showing up to the audition. Nobody told them their window of opportunity was limited. They thought they could party through their 20s, build a career through their 30s, then pick a husband off a shelf like a handbag whenever they were ready. Surprise, the store is closed. The worst part is what this does to young men. I get messages from guys who are 18, 19 years old, and already giving up. They have not even started, and they are already defeated. They see their older brothers, their cousins, their fathers getting destroyed in divorce court. They see good men treated like cash machines. They see the disrespect normalized everywhere, and they choose not to sign up for it. Can you blame them? So yes, men are staying single for years, and it is the fault of women. Not all women, but enough women to have changed the entire game. And until women collectively admit that, nothing will change. Men have already adapted. We are fine alone. Our options expand with time while yours shrink. That is not revenge, that is just reality. And reality, as they say, is undefeated. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for allowing these words to enter your mind. This is not mere content. It is a conversation between two souls.